Welcome to Coach Me, the podcast for women who want more. More clarity, more confidence, more you. We're Tanu and Catherine, friends, working mums, businesswomen, and real-life coaching buddies.
Each week, we cut the BS and bring you insights, tools, and truth bombs that help you show up stronger at work, at home, and in life. If we can coach each other through the chaos,
we can coach you too.
Hey, thank you for tuning back in for episode 4 of Coach Me. This week is all about friendships from ride or dies to ghosting phases. We know adult friendships can be beautiful and messy. We will unpack what makes female friendships thrive or fizzle in this episode. And if you got this forwarded, then be sure someone really cares about you. Please share this episode with everyone you love and care about. And make sure to send in questions that we can tackle next time.
Okay, let's kick off with our Win and WTF of the week as a friendship edition. So we thought we'd each now share one teachable friendship moment that gave us life and one that drained us a little. Because, to be real about this, adult friendships can be incredible, but they can also be incredibly complex. Let's go straight into it. My win actually started with a pretty tough chapter. A few years ago, my life took an unexpected turn. I went through divorce, moved back home to Berlin after years in London, and honestly, I felt so lost and disconnected. I did have friends in Berlin from childhood and school time. So this one friend in particular, someone I grew up with and I was very close to, turned out to have what I now understand is a closed mindset. She didn't want things to change, and she was more comfortable with me staying in my toxic relationship because, in a way, our bond was built on this kind of shared unhappiness. It was like we just bonded over trauma. And at some point, I just couldn't stay stuck anymore. I chose change and I chose myself. And as I started this journey of really reconnecting with me and living more authentically, our friendship also took a change for the worse. And eventually it cracked. I started seeing a life coach to really connect back with my identity and my boundaries. And the more I did, the more she became distant and even at some points really unkind. But at the same time, other people, friends from back at uni, from London, from abroad, just like you, Tanu, actually, showed back up in my life so much more intensely in such amazing ways that I did not see coming. You weren't scared of my growth, and that felt so overwhelming. Because you actually encouraged me, you were there for me, you were cheering for me, and you celebrated me entering this new chapter and reconnecting with myself, and you reminded me of facets of my personality that you loved about me back then. And I really want to say that's the win, that I learned that when I honor myself, I attract people who do too. And now I can see that friendships are really something that need to feel aligned. They shouldn't feel like hard emotional labor where you constantly feel pushed back or upset or drained. There are friendships that are meant to last for a season or for a certain period in your life, for being a new mom or being in a job or living in a certain neighborhood. And they're maybe not meant to be for a lifetime, but even friendships like mine back then that lasted for decades, they can fade. You can grow apart, and you have to allow that to happen. And I'm genuinely, it was so painful at the time, but I'm genuinely grateful for those lessons that I now know I don't need to cling on to relationships that really require me to shrink. Well, let's now move to the WTF. I guess my WTF is making friends as a grown-up takes not just effort, but it also takes courage and being vulnerable. And whilst it's not that effortless as it used to be when we were in our 20s and just bump into people at the bar and then hang out with them all weekend or whatever, it's really worth it putting yourself out there. I guess, Tanu, you were one of the people who really pushed me into this and said I have to build up a network locally. I have to find people. I have to create that circle of friends. What did you always call that?
The hype squad.
A hype squad.
For growth friends.
Yes. You always said I need a local hype squad. And I guess, that went into my goals in 2024 and I achieved it. I mean, I won a few, I would say 3 or 4 really nice girlfriends. It also helped having a dog, by the way. It gets you talking to people. I met a lot of elderly people as well, but, I wouldn't say they're my hype squad. Tanu, do you want to talk about your biggest highs and lows of your Win and WTF about friendships?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you talked about. It is very hard to have that real friendship. So going into the win, I think I've been really, really blessed ever since I was a kid. I always had great friends around me, and every organization or institution that I've been attached to growing up, I can literally create a list of people that I took with me from there. So whether it was my school or my uni where I did my bachelor's from, or uni when I did master's from, my first job at Google, and I am still in touch with those people today. And that, I would say, is my biggest win. When it comes to WTF, I think that one is realizing that there are people out there that come into your life. They feel like they're your people for a while. And then you realize that while you're evolving, you're becoming different people. And the support, the emotional safety is not the same anymore. The kind of friends that make you feel emotionally safe are the ones that you could show up in front of without any fear of judgment. And realizing that there are I only call when I need something kind of friendships out there. You know, the type when you haven't heard from them in months and suddenly you get a message saying, hey, babe, and then, they ask for something, you help out or you reach back out and respond to them, thinking maybe they just got busy, and you keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. But they're just not there. They're just not present for you when you need them.
Friendship ghosting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is crazy. There is relationship ghosting, but I feel like the same goes for friendships. You're absolutely right. Would have had those experiences.
Exactly. And this, things like unanswered text messages, no response to things that you share with them. And that is something that I realize that sometimes you mistake proximity for reciprocity. And just because someone knows you doesn't mean that they see you. So now I check in with one question before I give my time. Would they do the same for me? Unprompted. Kindness is not a currency to be exploited, and this is something you realize as you grow older.
I agree with you. I think a big issue here is if your values aren't aligned. And again, this goes for relationships of any kind, right? When you feel you're not being valued and you're very vulnerable or open, and then the other person comes back with nothing or just okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to even identify that and accept it to yourself for a very long time that this is happening. Just like a relationship, you get into these cycles with each other and assume that things will go away and they don't need to be addressed specifically, but it starts chipping away on the goodness that friendship brings to you, or at least you expect that friendship to bring to you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into a topic that has impacted both of us a lot in recent years, and we believe this might be close to our audience's hearts as well. It goes something like this. My best friend and I are growing apart, and I don't know if I should fight for it or let it go. What should I do?
Could you please coach me?
That is such a tough one. And it's also such a common crossroads in adult friendships. What I've learned is this: friendships, just like any romantic relationship, they evolve. Sometimes you grow together, sometimes you grow apart, right? And that does not mean that anyone did anything wrong necessarily. It just means life shifted. What I personally advise the women I work with is to call out the friendship for what it is at that moment in time. I've developed a matrix of 3 friendship types for this. It's really simple, and I use this regularly to assess my group of friends and acquaintances too. And I advise the women I work with to do this once or twice a year as well, or whenever they need it. I'll talk you through it. It's a real simple visualization, but eye-opening nonetheless. Okay, you can grab a pen and paper or your notes app now and draw down 3 columns on your paper. The first column, you put the headline acquaintances. So here you put all the people into that column that are your acquaintances. For example, those are people at work, your colleagues you get on with well, but actually you never meet with them on weekends or go very deep with. Or those nice people from the neighborhood, from kids' school, from the gym, from dog walk, people you maybe meet quite regularly, but actually you might only have that one interest in common, like dogs or sports. The second column are your old friends. So in this column, you write down all the names of the people who are really dear to your heart. Maybe because you know them for a real long time, or you connect over something really special with them, like you went to school with them or to uni, or you had your firstborns together. You may or may not see them a lot, but you connect on special occasions like holidays, birthdays. You send heartfelt messages like, they're dear to you. And then there is a third category. These are your growth friends. And I'm not saying this can't be your colleagues or this can't be your mum squad, but what I'm saying, what is distinct about growth friends is that, firstly, in my experience, these are often adult friendships that have deepened over a joint value system and often show similar patterns of following a purpose or deep personal pursuit of some kind. So, for example, Tanu and I are such growth friends. We're also old friends, though. But we are growth friends because we share a deep trust, similar values, celebrate each other's successes without any envy, but really want to see the other one succeed and be happy. And we are a part of each other's lives. We cheer each other on, we connect regularly, we talk deeply, we give each other advice, we get out the best in the other one. In this phase of our life, and in past phases too, we've just grown together throughout the phases, throughout our lives together, throughout the last decade or so. So if you've been struggling with friendships or you don't know how to carry on with a certain person in your life, it really helps to gain that clarity by putting all the names down of your circle. Some of these relationships might be a mix of old and growth friends, a school friend whose evolution has been very similar to yours and you've always been so close and cheering for each other. Or maybe you want to foster a deeper relationship with a work colleague. So maybe this is something you've been thinking about, inviting them over on the weekend and building up a friendship outside of the office as well. If you look at this matrix in front of you now, it might be hard to figure out which friendships you now want to put more effort into and which ones to let go of. So there might be some people where you feel deeply attached to, but then also kind of feel a bit like about. In this case, I also have 3 questions that I recommend to my clients to ask themselves as an energy audit of that relationship, because our energies don't lie. And if you're not really sure whether this friendship is good for you or not, ask yourself these questions. First, do they give me energy or drain it? Secondly, does this person make me feel like myself when I spend time with them? Or does this person make me feel like I'm not good enough or less than? And thirdly, am I still aligned with this person or am I holding on out of habit? What do you think, dear listeners? I would be keen to hear your feedback on this. And Tanu, is there anything you would want to add to this?
Yeah, those 4 steps you're talking about, they are so useful. And I have used those steps myself. I love this friendship energy audit. You would find that there are a lot of unused or redundant friendships that are surrounding you and sometimes sucking your energy and time. And there's something that I realized as I got older. It's so, so important to have growth friendships in your life because we are all evolving. I am definitely not the same person I was even 5 years ago. Forget about 10 years ago. And
100%.
as you evolve, you do new things, try new stuff in your life. You might get people that were such an important part of your friendship circle reacting in a very adverse way to you or going silent on you. It's important to trust your instincts. If you've been noticing things about a certain friend, ask yourself what is going on, not them. Before you ask them, ask yourself. And it's so important to then separate the wheat from the chaff and say, these are the friends that are my growth friends that always show up, that always support, that are hyping me up, and I feel emotionally safe with. And these are the people that I'm not sure about. Keep them separate and do this audit on them and see where you want to take those friendships. And the ones that do make it to your light up list where you feel like this is going to be my growth friendship circle, like Kathy said, nourishing, nurturing, extremely important. Don't be that friend that we've been talking about that does not reciprocate or takes their friendship for granted. I have to say, this topic is very heavy, but something that's so important to talk about. Friendship breakups are a real heartache. Now, let's express some gratitude and lightness with a quote that expresses friendship to us. For me, that is, a true friend is someone who sees the pain in your eyes while everyone else believes the smile on your face. I love this one. I don't know where I read it. I tried looking up who said this, but literally there's nothing on the internet. So someone wise said this, and I can totally relate to this quote because your friend, your true friend, knows you like the back of their own hand and can read your face, they can read your tone of voice and your energy, while the rest of the world believes the facade you put on to sometimes survive whatever you're going through. And I'm so blessed that I have those kinds of friends, including you, in my life, that sometimes I come in bullshitting to you and you're like, all right, what's going on, Tanu? What's
Definitely.
behind what you're telling me right
Even
now?
through the screen.
Exactly. How
Yeah.
about you?
I love this quote. It absolutely resonates. It's really beautiful. And I think it really is a compliment to what a true friendship is. Because even if sometimes your partner doesn't see or your parents don't see, but a friend who has gone through this with you, they feel the pain sometimes. And there is this beautiful thing that when you tell a close friend something and you start crying over it, or like you go through such pain and they start tearing up as well, I think that is such a moment of connection. When you really share that pain. In Germany, we have this saying, shared pain halves the pain, or something like that. And that is actually that moment for me, when you're tearful and your friend wells up listening to you because they just get so emotional, like for good things and bad.
Yeah.
And I feel that's really the beauty for me of real connection, real friendships. And you don't have that level of letting yourself be vulnerable with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back to what I said at the beginning about some friendships are for a reason, some for a season, or for a lifetime. And that is actually a quote that has really stuck with me because I am such a loyal person. I never give up on anyone. I never let anyone go. You can't escape me. I keep in touch. I feel the need to keep in touch with them, check in on them, say happy birthday, say happy Christmas, like whatever else, and keep in touch. I just miss the memo of let them go. They don't want to be in touch with you anymore. Because when I've connected with someone, I don't automatically just let them go. And when I heard this quote, that kind of gave me that permission or that realization even that you don't have to hold on to everything. Sometimes a friendship is just expired. So yeah, that's basically my lesson learned from my quote of the week. All right, now it's time for our mini boost of the week. Something small that you can do that has a big impact. You have put all your friends and acquaintances under one of those 3 pillars that we talked about earlier. and are clearer on how each of those friends make you feel. So you will now have a couple of different conclusions on each person. There are some people in your matrix who are really dear to you and who you want to be friends with and get closer to. People you want to grow towards becoming growth friends with. For those people who you feel a lot of potential for, where you feel so positive and energized and alive in their presence, for those people, I challenge you to take one small action right after this podcast. Reach out to the person or people who truly light you up. Send them a message, a voice note, or ask them for a catch-up in person. Something that builds up on this great energy you have with them and shows them your gratitude for being in your life. Because remember, nourishing friendships as an adult, it doesn't just happen by itself. We have to actively build these friendships moment by moment. But if you have some friendships that fall under the conclusion that these friendships just don't serve you anymore, or they leave you feeling drained or sad each time, if you're in that space, you might be wondering, should I fight for this friendship or let it go? This tool is a 4-step process for clarity. It's based on my own experience, and it has worked wonders with the women I work with because it really enables you to act with integrity and self-love. I'll talk you through all 4 steps now. Step 1 is to get honest with yourself. Ask yourself, do I still feel seen, supported? Do I feel safe in this friendship? Am I holding on out of habit or guilt or nostalgia maybe? Or because this person still plays an active role in my life today? Second step, check the energy exchange. Is that energy exchange mutual? Do both of you still show up? Or are you constantly the one chasing, connecting, initiating, or making space for them? The third step is to communicate if you feel like there is that openness to communicate still. If the friendship does matter to you and you want to salvage it, there is room for honesty. So talk to them. Something like, hey, I've been feeling some distance and I'm not sure where we're at. This really takes courage, but it does give you both a chance to reflect and respond with more intention. And the fourth step is to give yourself permission to let go gently. Because not every friendship ends with a big blow up. Some just fade, and that's okay, although it is just as painful. You can still be grateful for the love, the memories, the seasons you shared, and wish them well. But let's be clear here. If a friendship has turned sour or dry, it can be really tough to make that decision to let go. But letting go does not make you cold or selfish. It makes you self-aware and protective of your peace. It makes you choose yourself. That is self-love in action.
Oh my God, Cassie, I think the hardest part was for me to get honest with myself and identifying the energy exchange. That is something that really solidified it for me, because you look for evidence, right? Even if you're honest with yourself, you still second guess. Am I saying the right thing to myself, or am I making up stories, or am I perceiving this wrong? But energy doesn't lie. You have to bank on what your energy exchange is telling you. And communication, of course, if you're feeling you're in that space where you can really give that one last ditch try to do something about it if that friendship matters to you. Even though it's hard, patience sometimes resolves things and you don't even have to go to step 4. So I love this. And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us on Coach Me. Got a question or something you want us to coach through? Slide into our DMs or drop us a message. We might feature it on the next episode.
And hey, don't forget to hit follow your future self with thank you. Just one more quick note. Everything we share here is based on our own experiences and coaching tools. It's not medical or mental health advice. So if you're struggling or need support, please reach out to a qualified professional. You've got this and we've got you. See you next time on Coach Me. That's it.